Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just crushing some Diablo 4 to celebrate the new year. Had an awesome night last night. I have this like crazy kind of ritual where I go downtown and there's this kind of like crazy interior designed upscale hotel downtown here that has like these beautiful citrine geodes and amethyst. It's so funny because I'm playing Diablo and I'm like socketing my gear with this stuff, but like massive, like 4 feet by 6 feet, just like these huge slabs that were like pulled out of the earth. It's so inspiring, and that's kind of a great kind of segue into what I wanted to talk about. And I've been listening to this newish YouTuber named Medieval Mindset, and he's really cool. I mean, he's spectacular. I love his perspective. He kind of focuses on, it's so on brand now for Diablo 4 too. He focuses on 2030, kind of bringing in this new renaissance. And one of his most recent videos was posted like 12 days ago. If you haven't seen it, I'd check it out. Again, his name is Medieval Mindset. It's really cool. And I totally agree. I think, the years leading up to 2030, in my opinion, we're seeing it now with like the weird kind of like fraud that's being uncovered in Minnesota and other places, and like just like all the shitty elements of our foundational systems, right? Our legacy systems that are kind of collapsing. I think, there's going to be some messiness getting to 2030 where we will have this like newfound renaissance period, but kind of uniquely, I think uniquely there's going to be a ton of learning and opportunity for people to position themselves in this new era to be very successful. I think unfortunately, there's going to be a ton of people that are just kind of left behind and just get absorbed into the pain and madness that we're going to experience. Dude, is there a goblin somewhere that I missed? Damn it. Get absorbed into the pain and madness that we're kind of going to experience with like generative AI devouring the kind of knowledge work world. But there's going to be so much upside elsewhere to kind of focus on our material reality and build things that people actually need and stuff. And, people with the right mindset are going to absolutely crush it. And so, what made me think of that last night while walking around, Happy New Year, by the way. What made me think of that last night while walking around all these beautiful kind of like geodes was the fact that they were all literally pulled from the earth, and they're gorgeous. I know there's a lot of theory around the frequencies that they produce, and there's utility for a lot of those like kind of quartz type materials and stuff, but literally just the fact that they're absolutely gorgeous and they're just this beautiful aesthetic that came from the earth is spectacular. And I mean, it couldn't have aligned better with, I think, our pathway towards this 2030 renaissance that Medieval Mindset was talking about in his video. And that pathway is going to be brutal. It's going to be painful because I myself, I'm, software engineer, product designer. It's going to be painful to kind of find ways to create value in this future world. But I think, and the next 4 years, as we kind of like, become more material centric in a positive way, not in consumer way, but like in a, hey, we need to, instead of just lecturing people and pretending that that's valuable, we need to find ways to produce things that are physical and in real life that we can rely on. That was like a hard spot to be in. I should have just kept running down. Oh, and look at all those goblins I'm going to miss out on potentially. God damn. We need to put in a ton of work here. Come on, homie. I'm almost maxed out. I'm going to be maxed out. I am maxed out. Damn it. Look at that. It's insane. Maybe I'll go and spend it and come back here later, whatever. It's going to be a painful journey. And kind of just focusing on some of the things that I think will benefit folks during this like kind of crazy era of focusing on material reality and turning digital outcomes into physical ones. It starts with like personal resiliency and realizing that there are going to be situations where you may need to retrain or get really, really, really good at your knowledge work, whether it's software engineering, design, sales, ops management. Like there's just not going to be a lot of room. Like sure, you could potentially survive off of like nepotism and relationships for a period of time, but everyone thinks it's one of our biggest pitfalls and risks is that like everyone thinks they're special or that they have a unique relationship that should command like more respect than others in their company. They're like, oh, so-and-so likes me most. The truth is a lot of people in the companies you work in, especially if they're middle management or even if they're like CEOs and founders, don't have a ton of say when private equity takes over. Like if somebody were to buy your company out and they wanted to implement AI and really streamline everything else and shrink it from, just for round numbers, 300 people to 100 or 300 people to 60. I mean, that's not going to be far out. Like we're seeing AI enable people to just produce a ridiculous output in this future era. And any of the articles that are like enterprises are failing pilots and they don't know how to use AI yet, that's all gaslighting. I mean, that's all just like enterprises sucking at producing value, which, once you've cornered the market and you're kind of bloated and you have just a bunch of people wandering around your offices, it's hard for you to streamline things and kind of to eliminate this ego-driven, division-centric way of operating. But AI is incredible. I mean, what it's doing, especially for like software development and anything as code, because I ran some quick numbers and did some quick research on AI's viability for natural language compared to syntax and code. And it's 30% better at producing code, if not more. And so like you being impressed by AI being able to write kind of paragraphs or narratives or things for you, right? That's not perfect. It's 3 times better at coding. And so, I mean, and really we're entering a world where everything is kind of a form of code in some way, shape or form, other than like the hardware housing, the chassis, the kind of chipsets, the actual tools that are being controlled by a chipset. I mean, upstream from those things, like at the top of the foundation is really, or bottom of the foundation, however you want to look at it, is a form of code that's like executing. And it's different levels of abstraction. There's shitty forms of web code, not shitty, but just like kind of like, I'd say basic with just digital interfaces like JavaScript and stuff. And then there's, C++, Rust, things that can like influence physical objects that are doing things. So everything is affected by AI. Like that's what I don't think people understand. And it's extremely performant. So going back to kind of what I was getting at, there's going to be a very painful pathway to 2030, this new opportunity at a renaissance period that I think people can really, really take advantage of. And like the biggest constraint, the biggest risk is mindset. And that's such like a cliche thing to say, but it's absolutely true. The biggest risk is mindset. And so many people are going to kind of lull themselves into thinking that, oh my goodness, I thought I lost these things. Lull themselves into thinking that they have like a unique kind of a unique relationship that's going to protect them from automation or optimization or efficiency harvesting, whatever you want to call it. And that's the worst thing you can do. Because if anything, it's just icing, right? Like you end up being taken care of by someone within your company and you don't get laid off or whatever the case is. Just don't rely on that. Like just have that be a cherry on top or icing, right? But like the best thing you can do to survive is to adopt a personal resiliency mindset. I kind of call this ideological resiliency. It's like, how can you, without just like completely being self-critical and being a doomer all the time and making people feel like shit and uncomfortable, like be self-aware. And when you have opportunities, find a time and place to just kind of like mentally journal or physically journal and just produce kind of like, hey, what am I good at? What are the conditions in my environment? If I was let go tomorrow, where would I go? Would I start a company? What would that company do? How realistic is that company? Would I ping this group of people in my network to find a new position? Are those positions going to be rare or available? Like right now, there's like a 2 million electrician deficit. Who's willing to actually cross train in or rescale into an electrician pipeline? And that takes years, apprenticeship, all of that. And a lot of people aren't tooled up, to go to those work environments day in and day out. You've been used to the cush kind of Zoom calls and like all this bullshit. So there's just very serious, honest self-assessments and self-vectoring that has to occur in order to survive the next X amount of years until we get to this renaissance period with like incredible abundance. And right now, I think the U.S., particularly a lot of countries, look like we're getting clowned on a little bit with like all the fraud and all the weird bullshit that's happening in Minnesota and other states that are just like completely demoralizing. And you know, in contrast, right, we have other agencies like Veteran Affairs and stuff where people really seriously need hurt, and there's a lot of jokes going around social media right now about like veterans getting like shit on about like combat injuries they have and stuff, and they can't get like recognized for that, so they can get health care for it. But meanwhile, like there's like all these like crazy scam shops being set up across the country by people that have been here for less than 5 years, and it's insane, right? So everything seems like inverted. Everything seems like unreliable. You can't depend on the local medical medical institutions. The food pipelines are just crazy. Nutrition speculation, all this gaslighting, crazy information, a lot of monopolies and centralization of different sectors, which is not the greatest feeling because you just don't know if you're going to get a valuable outcome from that. It's a weird, jagged time right now, but I really think there's cracks and there's cracks and seams. It's starting to kind of separate a little bit, and with that separation, there's going to be tremendous opportunity. But you'll only be able to capture that opportunity if you become personally resilient and become straight up gangster about the way you view yourself, the way you view the environments that you've always depended on, and kind of how you start to influence others around you, and just spending time on people and investing in them, and kind of really getting people to adopt this personal resiliency mindset, this ideological resiliency. It's going to be a fun journey. It's going to be a chaotic journey. I'm going to continue to just produce these videos and just provide self-reflections, maybe stitch in some content that I capture in the wild, and just see if we can like learn together and become more resilient together. Have a great New Year's, everyone. Take it easy. Later.